Greetings, beloved. Greetings, YouTube family. I am Prophet Ferguson, coming to you live from Florida. Well, my journey these days, who knows where I'll be coming from. But I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I am Prophet Ferguson. I have been in ministry probably since about the late 90s, early 2000. I dedicated my life to Christ. I was young during the time coming up, and I really began to become involved in the church and ministry. I felt the call of God on my life in my younger 20s, even though I kind of went out there, did some things, left and came back. God drew me back, but I just want to share with you on YouTube, because somebody out here needs to catch some of this oil. I just want to share with you my journey into the supernatural, into the prophetic. Again, I felt the call of God on my life in my early 20s, and what drew me was, someone prophesied to me. Matter of fact, someone that I knew through a mutual friend, and I was just amazed, and little did I know, like some of my family, they knew, they saw, like they would get visions and dreams, or some people call epiphanies about me and how God wanted to use me. But that's what drew me at first. But as I really began to come involved in church, people would begin to prophesy to me, and they would tell me, mind you, this is probably about the year 2000. People would prophesy to me and tell me, like, you're a prophet, it's written all over you, you're a prophet. And I used to wonder, like, how could I be a prophet when I never heard God's voice? Like, I started going to the apostolic church. I was raised in a Baptist church. I didn't really experience like the gifts of the Spirit, like the fivefold ministry. I'm not a religious guy, just a side note. But I grew up in a Baptist church. My uncle was a pastor. So I just casually knew about church, but I never did I really know or understand about like the spiritual and the spiritual gifts or the supernatural. I knew that my mother was a prophet, because she would just know stuff, and I would be amazed at her gift. Matter of fact, one time I got in some trouble, and she basically called it out. Like, she could know things before they would happen. Like, she could discern my spirit. She could discern other people's spirits and events, and it amazed me. And I was like, well, that kind of resonated with me. But I was like, I know my mom is a prophet, but I'm like, what about me? I don't even hear your voice, God. I don't hear you. And then about 5 people prophesied to me, probably from about the year 2000 to the year 2000, maybe 2. So, here I am, like I'm a believer. I'm still a babe. I still got issues, still struggle with some things, struggle with alcoholism, struggle with sexual immorality. God was working on me, just straight up. And that's how it is sometimes. God just, working on you, because he's trying to bring you into the spiritual. But anyway, let me get to the meat of the potatoes of the story, which is why I want to share my journey. Like, so those 2 years, people would prophesy to me. Literally, I can count on my hand 5 different people who did not know each other, that were mutually exclusive. They prophesied to me. They said that you are a prophet. You are a powerful prophet. Now, I was a babe. I didn't understand the prophetic, because, when people speak in the prophetic, like you're speaking the will of God, and God sees things before they happen. Like God may say, hey, like, this is going to be a great establishment, and the place may be ran down and condemned, but I didn't understand those principles because I was young and I was immature. But anyway, so I really prayed about it, because I was like, how could these 5 exclusive people who don't even know each other see by the Spirit that I'm a prophet. I didn't understand it, and what I struggled with the most was like I never heard God's voice, and I would see prophets operate in the anointing, and I'll be like, I don't see myself ever saying, "Thus saith the Lord." Like how does it happen? And I'm gonna tell you one point where I kind of gave up. Literally, like someone else prophesied to me. I think that probably about the 5th or the 6th time. And like I just was like, okay, God, did I do something wrong? And I literally laid on my face there for about 3 days. I didn't really get up but to use the bathroom. I was fasting, and for those 3 days, I didn't hear God. So I just kind of let it go, going on my journey, just trying to be a believer, going to church, being involved. And let me tell you, one day, it was probably late 2002 or early 2003. Like I just began getting these feelings. Like I would feel like heat on me, I would feel fire on me, and I mean it would just happen randomly at any time of the day. I would feel this burning in my soul, and I knew it wasn't natural. I knew it was spiritual, but I couldn't discern or understand what it really meant. And it went on for a couple of weeks, and like I would just feel this burning sensation like in my spirit, and I would just begin to feel the presence of God. So one day it came to like a heightened explosion where I had this encounter, and I literally went up to my room, and I'll never forget. I mean, I had graduated college at the time. I was a couple of months out of college trying to find my way, and I just one night I had an encounter, and literally, I kid you not, probably for upwards of 5 or 6 hours, I was slain in my room on the floor. And as I was slain in the room on the floor, I couldn't move. I started seeing visions. I was having this awesome encounter with God. And then it's like once it's subdued, like once the spirit stopped really like slaying me, I got up, and then I heard the voice of God talk to me. And back then we had like I think I had a Motorola Razor, a flip phone. And I heard the voice of God speaking to me, and he told me like to just call certain people. And like the first person I called, I basically was saying what I heard the voice of the Lord tell me. And what was so awesome was the sensation he experienced, the anointing that I felt as I was hearing God's voice. I could feel a pull in my spirit. So, I called probably about 4 or 5 people. And probably about the 3rd person, when I called them, I started doing deliverance on them, and it was from that point I knew like that was it. Like God had dropped the prophetic mantle on me, but I struggled because, most of the prophets that I knew, they say they had to give from birth. I didn't have anything from birth. It all just kind of fell on me, and when it came on me with power. It came with dunamis power. It came with authority. Like, I mean, I remember they would always call me up to pray at church, but it was about that same weekend when I received the mantle, like something powerful happened in my ministry, something powerful happened in my life. And they would call me up, and we would pray for people in the church because we're more like a Pentecostal church. So we would pray for people, and as I began to pray for people, like demons would manifest and people would fall out and experience the power of God. And that's when I first realized, and the leadership around me realized that there was a serious prophetic mantle that was over my life. And that's why I'm here, because I want to share this experience with some of you, because, what I see in the ministry now is we don't really have apostles and oh my God, I felt that. We don't really have apostles and prophets who really know the supernatural, who can really flow and pull in those supernatural realms that have that access. So, I want to just come on and just share my experience with people, because someone out there is struggling with this too. It's the prophetic. It have a lot of moving parts, especially when God has called you to be a prophet. When you walk with the prophetic mantle, when you walk with the prophetic and the apostolic authority, and it's so many different dimensions of it. It's the spiritual side of it. It's the gifting side of it. Just so many different dynamics that you have to articulate, as a prophet, as a man or woman of God, that have access into the realms of the supernatural. So, I just want to share my experience with people, because, it's a lot of people out there that struggle with this gift, that struggle with this calling, and I just want to share my experience, my visions, my dreams, and listen, I have a little bit of education, and as I began to develop in the gift, I realized like this is what psychologists would call extrasensory perception, like, in different giftings. But, again, I want to share my story. I want to share my journey, so that it can enlighten, so that it can strengthen, so that people can have a better understanding of, of the office of the prophet, the walk that we have. So again, I am Prophet Ferguson, and you'll see more of me. I'm here on YouTube, and I just want to make my presence known, because I know that God has an assignment for me. He have a purpose for me, and I want to walk out everything that God has for me. I want to walk out the journey He has. So I'm starting here by just really sharing my journey and sharing my story. So like, share, and subscribe. God bless you.